Have you ever sat in a crowded room, completely drained by the noise, the harsh lights, and the overlapping voices, while everyone else seemed perfectly fine? You look around and wonder why it takes so much effort just to exist in the exact same space. You probably blame yourself. You tell yourself you are too sensitive, too fragile, or that you are just overthinking again. You quietly wish you could just care a little less. But what if the exhaustion you feel is not a psychological flaw? What if you are not weak at all? If you often feel out of place in this loud world, you are welcome to stay with this channel, because we are building a quiet space for minds exactly like yours. Now, I want you to imagine the human brain as a video camera. Most people navigate life recording in standard 720p. It is clear enough to function, and it saves a massive amount of energy. But you are walking through life with an 8K camera. Your brain is a high-end, ultra-definition system. And while that sounds beautiful, an 8K system requires an incredible amount of battery to run. The exhaustion you feel is simply the cost of processing a world that is too loud. And it all begins with your first hidden upgrade. The first upgrade of an 8K brain is the absence of a standard filter. For most people, a 720p brain is naturally wired to conserve energy. It automatically blurs out about 90% of everyday background noise. It effortlessly ignores the low hum of the air conditioner, the slightly scratchy texture of a shirt, or a subtle shift in a coworker's tone. But your brain does not do that. It treats every single detail as critical information. You might be sitting in a room trying to focus on a simple conversation, but you are simultaneously processing the flickering light above you, the faint smell of rain outside, and the hidden tension of the person sitting across the table. You are absorbing it all at the exact same time. It is no wonder you drain so quickly in crowded spaces. Your mental capacity is constantly running at its absolute limit. You often feel like your internal memory is completely overloaded, forcing you to shut down just to survive the day. You are not weak for needing to leave a loud room early. Your system is simply doing too much work. But here is the part most people misunderstand. This lack of a filter is not a defect. It is the exact reason why you notice the tiny, beautiful details that everyone else blindly walks past. You see the hidden patterns. You feel the unspoken depth of the world. But processing all this data comes with a heavy price, especially when it involves the heavy emotions of other people. And that brings us to your second upgrade. The second upgrade explains a very specific kind of exhaustion. It is the kind you feel after spending time with certain people. Have you ever sat down with a friend, listened to them vent about a heavy problem, and then walked away feeling completely hollow? They feel so much better, but you feel like a heavy weight has just been dropped onto your chest. You might just think you are being a good, supportive listener, but underneath the surface, your mirror neurons are working in overdrive. Every human has these neurons to help them experience empathy. But for you, it goes far beyond simple intellectual understanding. When someone sits across from you and expresses sadness, your brain does not just observe it. It actually simulates their exact emotional state within your own physical body. You do not just hear their pain. You literally feel it in your stomach, in your chest, in your breathing. You are walking through life like an emotional sponge, absorbing the invisible energies left behind in every room you enter. This is a beautiful, profound gift. But it is also the reason you suddenly feel deeply sad or anxious for absolutely no reason, unknowingly carrying emotions that do not even belong to you. Being an emotional sponge is exhausting enough on its own, but there is a third upgrade in your mind, one that often makes you question your own competence. It is the real reason why you hesitate, why you freeze in arguments, and why you take so long to make a simple decision. The third upgrade is perhaps the most misunderstood trait of a sensitive mind. It is called the depth of processing. Have you ever blamed yourself for being too quiet in conversations? Or maybe you beat yourself up because it takes you painfully long to make a seemingly simple decision. When someone asks for your opinion unexpectedly, your mind goes blank and you just freeze. You might quickly label yourself as timid, indecisive, or just slow. But science actually calls this a pause-to-check strategy. While a standard 720p brain reacts quickly and superficially to whatever is right in front of it, your 8K brain is doing something incredibly complex. Before you speak, your mind is unconsciously running detailed simulations. It is pulling up past memories, analyzing the unspoken tone of the room, predicting multiple future outcomes, and searching for the deeper meaning behind the words being said. You are not hesitating out of confusion. You are pausing because you are analyzing everything so thoroughly to make the safest and most authentic choice. This is not a system glitch. It is high-level computation. It is a sign of a deeply careful and intelligent mind. But living in a fast-paced world that constantly demands instant reactions can make you feel deeply flawed. And that overwhelming pressure often leads you to make the most dangerous mistake of all. You try to turn the system off. The immense pressure of living with an 8K brain often leads to a heartbreaking coping mechanism. You try to turn the system off. When everything feels too loud, too heavy, and too overwhelming, you start believing that the only way to survive is to stop caring. You force yourself to build thick emotional walls. You practice being cold, detached, and indifferent. You try to mimic the minds around you, hoping that if you just shut down your emotions, you will finally find some peace. But here is the painful truth about trying to numb a highly sensitive mind. When you force an 8K camera to shoot completely out of focus, you do not actually change the camera. You just end up breaking the lens. Emotional numbness does not protect you. It only traps you inside a heavy, suffocating emptiness. The profound exhaustion you feel right now is not just from the loud world outside. It is from the exhausting daily effort of pretending you do not care when your very soul is biologically built to feel everything. You cannot selectively numb out the heavy emotions without also numbing out the joy, the beauty, and the deep connections you are capable of experiencing. The tragedy is not that you feel too much. The tragedy is that you have been taught to hate the most beautiful part of who you are. So, what happens when you finally stop fighting your own nature and start working with it? You realize that your sensitivity is not a flaw to be fixed, but a profoundly human trait that this world desperately needs. The world already has more than enough apathy. You do not need to grow a thicker skin, and you certainly do not need to become cold. You just need to learn how to manage your 8K camera. You need to know when to step away from the noise, how to hit pause, and how to gently wring out that emotional sponge so you do not carry weight that was never yours to hold. Your capacity to feel deeply is your greatest strength, but only if you learn to protect your own boundaries. If you found a piece of yourself in this video, I invite you to stay with this channel for more reflections like this. Because in our next video, episode 3, we are going to explore a completely different silent struggle. We will uncover the real reason why you procrastinate and why it actually has absolutely nothing to do with laziness. Until then, take a deep breath and be gentle with your brilliant, exhausted mind.